Hi, welcome or welcome back to Jazzy Writes Stories. If you're new here, I am a self-published author, and I am writing my second book, Forever in Granada. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the difference between traditional publishing and self-publishing and help you decide what is right for you. I started writing my very first book, The Legend of Rosa, 10 years ago. I did try to get it traditionally published. I submitted query letters along with a manuscript of my first draft of The Legend of Rosa, and I did receive positive feedback from literary agents who told me to keep working on it. The story was good, but it needed more work. And at the time, this was during 2015, there was a lot of superhero movies, Marvel was really big, so there was like an influx of superheroes coming out. Now, 10 years later, it's kind of starting to rise again, the stories of superheroes, but there's not a big interest. It's kind of its own niche, which is important for me to know. But as a self-published author, you're all on your own when it comes to drafting, editing, the costs of marketing, that all falls on you. Both with self-publishing and traditional publishing, you're going to get your book into the world. One isn't better than the other, and authors can switch between them all the time because it gives you different advantages. As I mentioned before, the cost is a big one. It just depends on what you want and where you're at in your book journey. So things to consider. For me right now, as I mentioned in previous videos, I really want to traditionally publish my memoir, Diary of a Broken Heart. But there's a lot of controversy in that story. It is a true sad event that had happened in my family. So although there is interest, there is also a lot of feedback that I'm getting that the literary agents don't feel that they are the right fit for the project, which is interesting because I really never heard that before other than my own experience. But I'm going to keep at it. When you're self-publishing, some of the things to consider is who are you going to get for your editor? Who are you going to get for your cover artist? And all those choices fall on you. So those are, for me, kind of positive. So let's break down the real pros and cons so you can choose what's right for you. Traditional publishing pros and cons. This is what people picture when they think getting published. They think they're going to get published by HarperCollins, Hay House, Simon & Schuster. The pros to this is they pay you in advance up front. So it can be anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 on a book deal. Big or small, it depends on how many books they think they will sell with your book. And they pay you upfront all the costs to get your book printed. And there are a lot of costs, as you might have figured out. They have the professional design, they have at least 8 rounds of editing, interior design, formatting your book, distributing, and marketing. So they're investing in you. So that means your pitch, your book proposal has to be top notch. Traditional publishers only bring books in that they believe they're going to make back their money because essentially it's a business. So that puts the bar very high for you, especially for nonfiction and memoirs like mine. So they're looking for 3 things. The first is a unique concept. Is this book going to stand out? Is it going to sell? Number 2, is it above average? Is it professional quality writing? Not AI writing. That's another big thing that's been coming about is AI writing. And number 3, does this author have a large platform? Is this newsworthy? Is this a big story? Especially for nonfiction, they're going to ask, can you sell this book? So with me, with the Diary of a Broken Heart, like I said, it is a true story. It was on the media. So it has garnered a lot of attention, which I highlight that in my query letters to literary agents. They can quickly look up the story and find out what happened. So I make sure to put that in my query letter. But keep in mind, everyone's story is different. It might not have news media attention. It might have just been a journey that you have coming into your own, and that's okay too. But it needs to be compelling, because again, they're going to invest in you. So that's traditional publishing. If they don't see how it's going to make money, or if the topic is not quite what they're looking for in their list that they have, they may pass, and that's okay. You want to find someone, a literary agent, that's going to represent you, so they can represent you when they go to the publishing housings to get you published. So every story deserves to be told, and that's something you need to know. Next is the query process. So to publish traditionally with nonfiction, you don't write the whole book first. You're going to write what's called a book proposal. Then you query it to literary agents. And if an agent signs you, they're going to pitch the story to the publishers. So that was kind of my experience. I just got to the query part, and then I decided I'm going to self-publish it on my own. It would be great if eventually it does get picked up by a literary agent and they would look to traditionally publish my books that I'm working on right now. That could be in 10 years, who knows? But I would love to do that and work with a full team and really expand on the stories and create bonus features. I know there's a lot of authors who have done that. For instance, L.J. Andrews with the Ever King series. I fell in love with that, but she originally was a self-published author, and eventually she became traditionally published, and now she does book tours. But you need to get good representation. And getting those rejection letters, it's going to sting a few times, but after a while, it's not going to hurt as bad. It's normal. They're just not the right fit for your project. It doesn't mean that your book is bad. So sometimes it just means it's not what they're particularly looking for, but keep trying, which is a lot of the feedback that I have personally been getting. So I'm hopeful that my story will eventually be told in the right way. Next, I want to talk about self-publishing pros and cons. And here's something people really don't talk enough about with traditional publishing, is that you lose all creative control. I was at an author event once that the author actually stated that she hated her own book cover. It wasn't something that she liked. It wasn't something she was thinking about when she was writing her story, but she was stuck with it. And there was really nothing she could say because the publisher was the one that made the call. With self-publishing, you're not going to have that problem. You're going to choose your cover artist. You're going to tell them how you want it designed. I would recommend having your book finished before you do the book cover. I technically have my book outlined and finished. I already know what's going to happen in the end. I just have to literally write it out. So that's why I went ahead and published my, I hired my cover artist to do my Forever in Granada cover. But with the Legend of Rosa, I waited till it was finished. My very first book, I waited till the book was completely finished to make sure everything was perfect, and that's when I hired her for the book cover. And I also did character illustration. That's the picture that you see her flying above the Tampa Bay waters next to Skyway Bridge. I also paid for that, and that was something more that I wanted to do. I really love my character and I wanted her to come to life, and I invested in that story by adding that character art. So that's the beauty of self-publishing, is that you get that creative control, but you do have to pay the cost up front. But I kind of like that. I like to hire my artists. I enjoy finding them. Both artists I've so far, I've hired 3 cover artists. Legend of Rosa I found on Instagram, as well as Forever in Granada, which I will release that during the book release. But Diary of a Broken Heart, I found her on Reedsy. And I'm not going to get into the whole taxes part. That could be a whole separate video, but do keep in mind that if you're going to be claiming those business costs to have a record of it. And from my experience, I didn't have to pay like foreign tax, because most of my art, actually all of my artists were not in America, they were in a foreign country. So I was able to claim it, but there's like there's this whole thing. Again, I'm not a tax expert, but there's forms that you would have to send to them to fill out to keep a record of it. But that could be discussed in another video. But just keep those expenses in mind. Start building an Excel sheet of all the expenses that you make if you're going to claim it as a write-off for your business. Okay, so how do you choose? You want to ask yourself 2 questions. Do you want the validation that comes with traditional publishing? You know, having your books on bookshelves, the team that's behind you. Can you handle waiting 1 to 2 years to write your story and rewrite your story while you build your own author platform? If those answers are yes, then you should go traditional. You should go for it. But if you feel you want more creative control, you want a faster release date, and you want to have a story that you want your readers to have in your hand, and you might have gotten a lot of rejections, and you feel like, you know, this is a story that should be told, I know it has potential, let me self-publish it, then self-publishing is the route that you should go. And lots of authors do both. They start self-publishing, and then their book gets picked up by a literary agent, and eventually they become traditionally published. There is hope regardless. I'm personally still pushing for traditional publishing for my memoir. I feel like that story deserves it. But I'm hopeful either way, because silence isn't an option for this story, and it shouldn't be an option for anyone's story. If you're querying right now, keep going. If you're self-publishing, own it. You know, be your own boss. You can create your own LLC. That's another video I can talk to you about in the future. But I hope you liked the video. Drop a comment which path you are on, and if you want an example of a query letter, let me know. Send me a comment or a message on Instagram. Hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.